What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome in to episode number 350 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Deej coming at you with a nice little episode to get your weekend going in the right direction, as we are 1 week away from face-off weekend in the NLL. We've got the NLL Plus announcement to break down and talk about. Very excited about that. Some more NLL signings that have me extremely happy. Has Deej a little upset, but happy about one of his favorite players' futures and his ability to play with some really talented players. We have our final installment of our NLL season preview, and then some PLL news and notes that are very, very exciting as well. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials. We're on every platform at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky. We're everywhere. OTB LaxPod. Just search us. You'll find us. Keeping up to date on every social platform. We're buying up all the real estate, all the social media platform real estate. We're there. You can follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_next great. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod on Apple, Spotify. Leave a 5-star review. Goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Allows us to do more dope stuff with and for you guys. Deej, I was talking to Harrison this week because obviously Harrison's back in the fold, co-hosting every Wednesday Underground Sports Philadelphia episode with me that we record. That is out now, and he said summertime he's gonna be home. He might have to swing by a PLL weekend with us, might have to hop on a live pod with us. My man is, in the words of us, hashtag back. He's fully
what up?
committed. He's pot
What's
committed.
good, Harry? What's good, Harry? IU been balling, huh? I'm an IU fan. Well,
He's
not
ready
entirely, but I'm cool with IU.
You're an IU fan this weekend, is what you mean?
Oh, definitely an IU fan this weekend. We don't like Ohio.
So yeah, subscribe to the pod. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. We're 24 subscribers away from 900, which means we're 124 away from 1,000. Let's get to 900 before the end of November. Let's make it happen before the end of face-off weekend, which is the end of November. So let's get on that. 24 more of you need to subscribe. It's youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and of course, click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. And this show is presented by Shootout For Soldiers, and it's Wall Ball for Warfighters Month. Still going strong, seeing a ton of awesome videos popping up on the social medias. Also want to wish a happy birthday to our guy, Eric Minio. His birthday was this week, so happy birthday to the big boss. But Wall Ball for Warfighters this November. Join us in making a difference for our nation's veterans through the power of lacrosse. We're excited to once again talk to you about Wall Ball for Warfighters campaign, where you can sign up and help support those who have served our country. Throughout the month, we invite lacrosse enthusiasts of all levels to participate by logging your wall ball sessions and contributing to a collective effort that gives back to our heroes. Whether you're a seasoned player or just starting out, your participation will help raise crucial funds and awareness for veteran support programs. Get involved, challenge your friends, and make every rep count. Together, we can show our gratitude and make a lasting impact. Get ready to rep for a cause, and let's get started. Visit the link in the description or go to wallballforwarfighters.com and register now. You have through Sunday, December 8th to register, get your wall ball reps in, record a video, submit them to Shootout For Soldiers, submit them to us. We'll share them and repost them as we'll Shootout For Soldiers. So yeah, get involved, wallballforwarfighters.com, or click our link in the description at shootoutforsoldiers.com/register to get involved with Wall Ball for Warfighters. And thank you to Shootout For Soldiers for being the presenting sponsor and partner of the Outside the Box podcast. Deej, big announcement this week in the NLL. Pretty dope announcement, if I do say so myself. I was a smidge nervous because I was like, this is coming out of nowhere. Didn't we just announce a full slate of opening weekend games on ESPN? What's going on? But it doesn't have too much impact on ESPN other than we're going to be able to access games on repeat for as long as we want. And hopefully it continues growing in terms of backlog games and being able to go back and watch different seasons and stuff. But NLL Plus is here. NLL Plus is here. The National Lacrosse League is set to launch NLL Plus, a free global streaming service. The service will provide fans with access to live games, full game replays, and exclusive NLL content. Fans will have access to all 126 live regular season games and every playoff matchup. Canadian fans will also have the opportunity to view every regular season matchup, excluding those broadcast on TSN's linear network. Subscribers to NLL Plus in the United States will have access to highlights, full game replays, and additional league content for free on the platform. This is huge. No other way to chop it up. This is a huge investment by the league. This is a huge benefit for media, fans, anyone who watches the NLL from all ages. This is a huge development and huge deal for the league's growth.
Do I dare say the NLL listens to the pod?
State your case, sir.
We have been saying now for a little over a month, maybe two now, that the NLL needs to cater to the American audience a little bit more. And then come out with NLL Plus with all of these great amenities for the U.S. audience. Seems like they're catering to the U.S. audience a little bit. Seems like we dropped that in their ear. Cannot confirm completely, but from the sounds of it,
allegedly,
the NLL listens to the pod and we be having good ideas.
And it's huge because this is a service that's going to be available globally. And I know there's a lot of features for the European audience that they're exclusively getting, which I think is really cool for them and to grow the game overseas. But this is awesome. Like, it's a direct-to-consumer streaming service for free. And I think that in and of itself also kind of bolsters your case that the league and the sport of lacrosse is listening to the pod, because we have said for, I don't know, the past couple of years when we've had summer box going on and other things where you're paying a premium to watch one singular game, the NLL is giving you every single game plus the playoffs if you're in the US, and pretty much if you're in Canada, just outside of TSN's linear network games, for free. It's free access, free for highlights. That's going to increase our coverage for sure, because we're going to be able to go back and pull up stuff on NLL Plus and utilize it. I just want to prepare this for everybody too. This is a message for NLL Commissioner Brett Frood. Commissioner Frood, how are you? Still would love to have you on this show. Been working on it for years. Who do we have to talk to in order to get NLL Plus as a partner of the podcast? We would love to promote this because it is right in our wheelhouse. It's something we have talked about in terms of access for that American audience, that U.S. audience. and you're providing. We help speak this into existence, allegedly. So Commissioner Frood, from the OTB team to the NLL league office, who do we have to speak to? What do we have to do to get a deal done so that NLL Plus, we can advertise it on the pod, we can showcase highlights on the pod, and enhance our product for the people? Because at the end of the day, that's what you guys are doing. You're bringing the product and enhancing it for the people. And that's what we try to do with this podcast when we break down the NLLs, enhance the viewing and watching and fandom experience for the people.
Oh, I got his voicemail. I'll try again next time.
Bet it is a little late, so he's probably out of the office.
Tough. Yeah, I'll try again. But nonetheless, I'm really excited for this, for the simple fact that this is the easiest way to grow the game, right? You know, kids get into sports because it's on linear television. They see it on ESPN, Fox, ABC, CBS, all those channels, TNT. And then they can go on YouTube and see highlights for free. Being able to see an entire game and highlights and get exclusive content for free for a sport is great, especially in this climate that we're in right now where everything costs at least $7.99 a month. I can say, hey, here's this platform and you can watch as much lacrosse as you want for free. I personally don't know too many people that if I offered that to them, they would say they wouldn't at least watch one game or a part of a game. And then that's just a trickle effect, is you got to get them at least to watch some of it. And to give it to them for free is a very easy way to get a ton of people to watch some of it. It's literally free. Everybody likes free things. They might not like it as much as you do. They may not jump heads over heels for it, but if you can at least get them to download it and put in a little bit of watch time, the amount of people that will enjoy lacrosse will drastically go up.
Now, it does say in the press release that it will be free for the 2024-2025 season.
That's
That
enough.
obviously leaves the door open for them to expand upon it. And if it does get popular enough, and if I'm not mistaken, you and I were talking before we started recording, if I'm not mistaken, the league's media rights deal is up at the end of this season with ESPN. I know they re-upped with TSN, but I don't know how that kind of correlates in terms of the US deal with ESPN, whether it's the same or not. But nonetheless, they're giving you 126 games plus the playoffs, live games for free. And that starts with face-off weekend and the statement from Brett Frood in the press release. Our mission is steadfast in growing the consumption of our league and introducing box lacrosse to an expansive global audience. With the launch of NLL Plus, we're taking a major step toward achieving that goal. Lacrosse is experiencing rapid growth internationally, and we can now ensure that existing and new fans around the world will have even more access to our games, bringing them closer to their favorite NLL teams and players. Perfectly
That's
said.
it.
Like,
if they can get me in the same room with, the Calgary Roughnecks, that'd be amazing. So, you guys heard it here first. That's kind of my one dream. If you can throw me out there,
it's
if you
gonna
can
be
get
so funny.
If you can get CDB back into the pipes for us, that'd be great.
It's gonna be so funny looking back at this in like 4 years when the Detroit Turbos are back.
Oh,
and you're like, Roughnecks? Who?
like,
I'm just a chill guy.
Don't do me like that. I'm never giving up on my Roughnecks. They'll always be a special part of me. They'll always be one of my favorite NLL teams. But them Turbos come back. I'm jumping ship. That's definitely my number one team. We up here with it. Turbos, so the big dogs.
But yeah, this is a huge deal. I'm very excited. And in the press release, it says you can visit nll.com/plus to sign up for the service. So yeah, we're pumped about NLL Plus. I think this is a huge growth opportunity for the sport, for the league, and it's only going to make our viewing experience that much better. And it's going to be awesome to have this available for me, especially when I'm covering Wings games and I can have other games up on my laptop to watch while I'm up in the press box, to have an eye on everything going on around the league. So yeah, super
So I hope they're
excited.
doing a multi-viewer.
Let's see. I haven't even gotten a
Because
chance to go to the website yet. I'm
because
gonna see if it shows anything.
as we all know, due to all of the renting scenarios and everything, there's 1,000 games on at once when it comes to the NLL.
I will say the website looks incredibly clean. The NLL.com/plus. Like the website is
that what? Because mine says plus.nll.com.
it shifts to that.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, they've already got highlights from playoff games from last year.
Let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and make my little account.
Like this website looks 10,000 times cleaner than the actual NLL website, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, this website looks really nice.
Like it's aesthetically pleasing. It's super dope. Super, super dope. I'm very excited about this. So yeah, Commissioner Frood, let us know what we got to do, what hands we got to shake, what avenues we got to walk down to get NLL Plus as a presenting partner for our NLL coverage this season, and we'll make that happen. Bang bang chicken wang. But yeah, let us know your excitement about NLL Plus. And our NLL Plus discussion was brought to you by Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Because when I'm going to be watching NLL Plus on my laptop, on my TV, just like Deej, we're going to have our Blue Light Plus glasses on. We're going to be wearing our sunglasses ever so much because this podcast is a podcast that subscribes to the notion you need your sunglasses in the wintertime more than the summertime. Deej, you said it snowed in Michigan today, and I'm sure that sun was beaming.
Nah, because it actually was overcast today, so it wasn't bad. But what it did tell me is when it do snow, the sun gonna be bright. So for those of us in the Midwest, we know it's coming.
Same thing here on the East Coast, like that reflection of the sun off of snow, even if it's just cold. When it's one of those deceiving days during the wintertime when it's like, oh wow, it looks so nice out. You walk outside and you get hit by a ton of bricks. Protect your eyes
ice
at least.
on the road.
Ugh, terrible. Terrible. Tomahawk Shades has you covered with the best small batch sunglasses, blue light glasses, prescription lenses, and ski goggles in the game. I am always wearing my Tomahawk Shades. Deej is always wearing them when he's coaching. You can do the same. Black Friday is right around the corner as well, which is crazy to think about. Next week will be Black Friday. Next week is DJ's favorite holiday of the year.
Gang,
so
gang.
we have that on deck as well. And Black Friday starts now for Tomahawk Shades. Get up to 90% off selected items.
You heard that.
I'm not even stuttering. 90%, up to 90% off.
That's
selected
90. 90% sign.
Insane deals. Use code EBF24 and you'll get up to 90% off selected items at tomahawkshades.com or in the Tomahawk Shades app. And then year round, you can use code USP and you get 25% off any order from our friends at Tomahawk Shades. It's code USP for 25% off all year round. Your next order at tomahawkshades.com or in the Tomahawk Shades app, and use code EBF24 for that early Black Friday sale to get up to 90% off at tomahawkshades.com. We had some. What happened?
Does the percent sign have an actual name? Like, you know how like ampersands is for like the and signs? I just don't know. Sorry, y'all. My brain does this sometimes. Have a formal name. I guess that's what would be the way to type that.
So it's just saying that it's either percent sign, percent mark, or percent signs.
Okay. So no, it does not. Awesome.
Yeah, the first Reddit thing from 2 years ago. It's weird the percent symbol doesn't have a name like ampersand.
Hey, it's good to know I'm not the only one that had this question.
Leave us a voicemail with what you would call the percent symbol at speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. Come up with a name for the percent symbol, and the best one we'll consider putting into our everyday vocab.
Oh my God.
That's speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. Give us a name for the percent symbol. That's the voicemail question of the week. We'll answer them on next week's podcast.
Oh, you know what you just did? Now we got to come up with a voicemail question of the week.
Hey, I'm not mad about it. I mean, the voicemail line is always open, available for you 24/7, 365. What I really want is every single week for us to have just a montage of people calling in happy, angry, or indifferent about their team during, before, and after games. That's really what I want this NLL season. That's what I want to happen during the PLL season as well, is just calling in with your immediate instant reactions. Like, I can't believe fucking Josh Byrne just scored 4 goals on my team in the second quarter. What the fuck are we doing? And then
that's actually very
back,
believable.
Right, but then them calling back and being like, Connor Fields, he brought us back. We just won the game in overtime. Like, I want that type of energy on the voicemail line this season.
Y'all heard it here first, folks.
That's what we need. I do like the voicemail
Bring the energy.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Now I got DJ Ralphie Ralph stuck in my head. Bring
you
the
did
action.
that to yourself.
You said bring the energy, and it triggered that in my brain. Shout out DJ Ralphie Ralph. He's the GOAT.
Facts.
We had some NLL signings this week that are very awesome for one of our teams. Kind of unexpected as well. Deej, Callum Crawford's a Philadelphia wing.
Yeah, I peeped that.
That's crazy.
I sent that to you, and I was like, interesting.
That's crazy.
Nice little squad y'all got over there.
That is a move that...
And we still beating y'all.
Chill, we beat y'all preseason. Shout out BO. He popped off on y'all.
Preseason don't mean nothing.
It's a showcase of talent.
Preseason don't mean nothing.
Signing Callum Crawford is a move to me that signals
maturity.
Yes. But also signals that Tracy Koleski's got a huge fingerprint being back with this team. And obviously we saw the Wings bring on a ton of the Panther City players from the dispersal draft, and then the guys that didn't get drafted were brought in as well. Callum Crawford, along with Jonathan Donville, were faces of that team for 3 years. In terms of superstar power, in terms of just long-lasting impact on the league. Callum Crawford is one of the best scorers we've seen in professional lacrosse, box, field, etc. That dude is unreal. And the fact that he's going to be or has already turned 40 years old and will be playing this NLL season at age 40. And we saw what he did last year and was unbelievable. It tells me he looks at this Wings roster and says, I know a lot of guys on this team, being that they were my former teammates the past couple of seasons. I know TK and his coaching style and his scheme. I'm trying to put a bow on my career and win a championship. I'm going to take my talents to where I feel comfortable enough to do it and where I think I have the best shot. And I'm assuming this is a big time type, no matter how talented you are, you have some sort of ego in your craft. And Callum Crawford's wildly talented. But I think for him to sign here also tells me he's putting a bit of his ego aside knowing that there are big names on this team, as we all know, from Joe Risseterits to Mitch Jones to Blaze, obviously Brennan O'Neill being the number one pick, and a whole lot of other guys. But it tells me that, like, Callum sees this as an opportunity for him to really put a bow on the top of his career if everything goes right for the Wings. And I like that for him. I like adding his talent to this team. It came out of absolutely nowhere. And I'm excited that I get to cover Callum Crawford this year for an entire NLL season.
I like everything you said, but the ego piece. I don't think this is an ego thing. I think this is an age thing. Like you said, he's 40. To me, this signals the Wings are trying to win it this year. It's like it seems like a championship or bust season this year, even though they were just at the bottom of the league. Their team is constructed to be good and be competitive. And this seems like one of those moves where you bring in an experienced guy that can work from any place on the floor and really is going to be a glue guy, gel unit kind of guy for the offense. Like, he's a guy I could see rolling out as a fifth guy, and he's literally just going to play the point to mesh the two sides together because he's so good up top. He can play with both hands. He has great vision. He can shoot. Like, he has all the pieces to just be a facilitator for the offense. That's what I see happening, and I think it's just more of a position where he goes. It's almost just a dire decision to where technically he doesn't have anywhere to play. Where he was playing doesn't exist anymore, so he has to go somewhere else. When you think about it, there are a couple places where he could be like the man, but does he want to do that at 40, or does he want to try and go to a pretty decent team and see what he can do? And also, you look around the league, all the good teams have a bunch of good guys with egos that are kind of non-existent. Like, we all know that they have egos, but they know that the league isn't big enough for them to all have those egos and want to be the man somewhere, because that's just not going to happen. And Callum, I think, has had that realization for a little bit, but has still been able to not only physically be the man, but was presented those opportunities on teams where he could be the man. Now he's kind of in this position where he's like, that isn't really an option for me anymore. What is the best option? It looks like Philly is that.
Yeah, and when I say ego too, I don't mean that in a negative sense.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, like, that's just a natural athlete thing. Like, DJ and I are former athletes. We had egos when we were competing in our respective sports. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to look at your situation and realize, okay, like, I am at this stage of my career. I have to recognize that I'm not the guy in this situation, but I am a guy that is a portion of the puzzle that we're trying to assemble that hopefully looks like a championship at the end of the day. And I mean, Callum's going to be 40 and is still popping off at a very solid rate. Like, you look at his stats over the past couple of seasons. Let's look at when he got to the Riptide and then went to Panther City. Like, with the Riptide in 2022, he had an 88-point season. Like, on a team that was not necessarily like the best. And then between the Riptide and Panther City in 2023, in 13 games. Also, mind you, that 88-point season with the Riptide was in 15 games. He played in 13 games in 2023 and had a 56-point season. Like, that's solid numbers that the Wings were getting probably from three guys combined last year. They were getting 56 points. They were getting 88 points from three or four guys combined. Now you just insert a guy who is wildly talented. And we were talking about it when we saw the move get announced. Like, the Wings' top 8 options right now, however you want to dice it up, you can roll out Brennan O'Neill, Blaze Reardon, Mitch Jones, Joe Risseterits, Callum Crawford, Phil Caputo, Holden Catoni, and Sam LeClaire. Like, that's probably going to be the Wings' top 8 options going into this season. And that's, I mean, who wouldn't sign up for an opportunity like that, to have an offense on paper that consists of a variety of different types of offense that hopefully mesh well under TK and this coaching staff, and they do some really special things. But it was definitely a shock to see Callum Crawford signed by the Wings. I was trying to do geographic math too. I think, or it might just be like right in the middle, but I think Philly is also the closest market now to Oklahoma City where Callum is living, which is wild to think outside of the Georgia Swarm.
Technically, I believe Georgia's closer.
Yeah. But I think outside of Georgia, because I don't think Georgia was ever going to.
And Vegas gives it a run.
That's what I was saying. Like Vegas and Philly might be like Oklahoma City might be that middle point.
Yeah, Vegas gives it a run too.
But yeah, I mean, Callum just turned 40. Turned 40 earlier this month. So, I mean, we're going to have direct access to Callum Crawford this year too, which is crazy. Another guy who, when I got into covering the Wings, was an absolute Philadelphia Wings killer with the New England Black Wolves, with the Riptide, and now he's a Philadelphia Wing for the first time in his career. Like Callum's got a decorated list of teams he's played for, Deej. I'm gonna rattle these off for you. Originally drafted by Calgary in 2005, played in the 06 season. He played in 5 games. Then he played for San Jose. Then he went to Chicago.
The Shamrocks.
And then he went to Edmonton in 09. And then he was with the Minnesota Swarm from 2010 to 2015.
Then he moved to Georgia.
And then he went to Colorado for 2016 and 2017. He went to Buffalo in 2018. Went to the Black Wolves 2019, 2020. Obviously no season in 2021. Callum then signs in free agency with the New York Riptide, plays with them for a season and a half, and then goes to Panther City for a season and a half. And now he's with the Philadelphia Wings. Crazy.
Man.
Crazy. Not the only crazy signing either. Another reunion on the defense. We're just getting the band back together from the good old days. Anthony Joakim's back with the Wings.
Yeah, this one came as a surprise to me.
Hey Siri, play Homecoming by Kanye West.
Because Rochester, what the fuck? Who the hell do you have on your team to be dropping Anthony Joaquim? Please let me know. Because last time I checked, you ain't got nobody on your defense or transition better than Anthony Joaquim. But hey, what do I know? I just sit at home and watch games and talk about it on this podcast. I didn't see what you saw in training camp. I don't know what you got on the defensive side of the ball. Based off what you did the last couple years.
Do you want their defense rattled off?
Go ahead.
To entertain you. So here's the Rochester
Please.
Nighthawks defense. Brad Gillies, talented, very good defenseman. Josh Medeiros, Tyler Halls, Tyler Biles, Taylor Jensen, Dan Coates, Chad Tutton, Brandon Slade, Ian Lord, and Jake Pacino.
I'll give you 3.5. Because we don't know what we're going to get out of Pacino yet.
Correct. He's kind of an unknown.
We had
Slade.
Gillies.
Slade, Gillies, Tuts.
And
Dan Coates is still a dog.
And Coates. I'll give you those 3 for sure. I'll give you a half for Pacino. I don't know too much about Slade. So I'll keep an eye on him. I will keep an eye on him for the year.
He was with Toronto up until this year, I want to say. I think he signed with Rochester in free agency. He's like a year. So he just turned 30. Like he's pretty much in his prime. He's really good. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a really good defenseman. But I'm just going to say this. and this is no slight, it's just my man is old. I don't know how you keep Ian Lord over Anthony Joaquim. Now, me as a Wings fan and a guy that covers the Wings directly, I ain't mad about it.
Of course you ain't.
But
of course not.
That's a crazy, crazy thing to do. To release a guy who has been to the NLL Finals 2 years in a row, has a ring on his finger, was very close to having a second ring on his finger last year, and has been the consummate pro, has made every team he's gone to better. I also love this for jokes because he lives in Philly. Like, he coaches St. Joe's. So now he's back here in his home market, like, perfect for the Wings, and it's a reunion. And you look at the Wings defense now, Deej. This is what I'm excited to get your perspective. We just rattled off, Rochester's defense. Looking at this revamped Wings defense with faces new, old, and in between. You obviously have the guys that have been here in Alex Pace, friend of the program, absolute menace, and Ryan Wagner, who's back, thankfully, from his injury that he sustained last year. But then you add to this mix and retain to this mix the following names. Mitch Armstrong is back. Isaiah Davis-Allen, Nate Fair, Pat Foley, Chris Harland, Kevin Lynch, Alex Pace, Liam Patton, Connor Sellers, Ryan Wagner, and now Anthony Joaquim. That's a defense that I, as a fan, have been clamoring for years. That's a defense makeup that you and I have talked about on this show that we've been waiting for the Wings to kind of showcase for years. And that's going to be a nasty defense for opposing teams to kind of have to deal with on a night in and night out basis throughout the season. And that's all of my bias aside, but you look at the names and you look at the talent there, that's a very fun defense if you're a defensive fan of the sport of lacrosse.
I'm excited to see them play, but my concern for them is what a lot of people don't know about team sports is they think chemistry matters on the offensive end, which it does, but it means so much more defensively.
See the
It
Boston
means
Cannons.
so much more defensively. You have to have that chemistry on that side. And that's my one concern is how quickly can they garner that chemistry, and some of it takes a long time to like know the twitches of when that guy's going to slide, to know his mannerisms on how he likes to play defense, to get used to each other's voices and know whose voice is whose, and like those things take time. And a great example is Buffalo. They've taken a little bit of time with each other, and they know each other, and they know exactly where everybody's going to be on all sides of the floor, but that took some time to get to. It wasn't instantaneous. That is my one trouble for them, but they're going to be exciting to watch. They're going to be physical. They're going to be fast. They're going to make you work for it. They're going to be smart about it. They're going to push transition. They have all the right pieces, and if they're able to piece together the chemistry part within a decent amount of time, this season could be a phenomenal season for the Wings.
Now, hear me out on the chemistry side of things. I do think there is a bit of an advantage here for the makeup of this defensive room because of the fact that you have a Liam Patton, Connor Sellers, Pat Foley, and those boys coming in. They played together the past couple of seasons, so they know each other, which I think is a benefit, and they kind of understand how each one operates. Plus, for them as well, the guy behind them that they're playing in front of was their goalie, which I think communication-wise for Nick in cage is going to be big. I also think when you look at the guys who are like traditional wings, I'm looking at this from like a survivor perspective. This is like a merge almost. Alex Pace, Liam Patton too, to a degree, and Anthony Joaquim and Ryan Wagner have all played together at some point as well under Ian Rubel. obviously head coach now. You have a new defensive coordinator in, but Rubes is going to have his hands on this defense from what I have gathered from training camp and just talking to people as well. I think that helps alleviate a lot of that, where like those guys at least know each other. They have had experience playing together, and it's not like you're coming in, like I mentioned, like the Boston Cannons almost this past season, where early on you were seeing like kind of the mishaps and the bit of stumbling that, you know, a brand new defense had in front of a young goalie. And then as the season went on, it got better. But I do think there is a benefit that, at least to some degree, a lot of these guys have played together, and the communication factor, I think, is going to be huge between the Panther City contingent of guys and the Wings contingent of guys, and them kind of just like meshing what this scheme is going to be together so that everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it, and there will be some things that'll work and won't work, and I'll tell you what won't work is when you play the Calgary Roughnecks. We're just gonna be better. We're just gonna be better, which leads me to something I briefed with you yesterday. I have an announcement.
Yeah, January 11th.
I will not tell you what said announcement was.
Yeah, this man pulled a Skip Bayless on me as I'm leaving Gatone Stadium calling our Powder Puff game and says, "It's my turn! My turn!"
It is my turn. Y'all know.
I have no idea what he's about to drop on my head.
This man be making announcements all the time, and my face be just as surprised as y'all's because I don't be knowing nothing. Nothing. I be finding out with y'all, which is crazy. How are me, the co-host, supposed to find out with y'all? Ain't I supposed to be briefed before? Y'all see how he does me? So, yes, it's my turn. It is my turn.
I need you to hit the Skip Bayless. It's my turn.
All right. I told you I had something, but I didn't tell you what it was. I did tell you it would bring content, and I did tell you that you should hope for Calgary success because the better the Roughnecks are, the more content we get. Because it is the season of the Big Mac, people. That is what I'm calling Cam McLeod. He's Big Mac. So, I will eat 2 for $5 Big Macs for every game Calgary wins.
McDonald's, if you're listening, y'all need to get in here and sponsor this shit ASAP.
Right now. I'm already on the app, so let's get to it.
McDonald's, how you doing? Y'all need to sponsor this man right now.
Now. But yeah, that's the announcement. Okay. 2 for $5 Big Macs for every game Calgary wins.
No free ads.
You know, they know the rules around here.
The some of the other moves that happened over the past couple of days since we last recorded as well, which was right about here. Steve Fryer got released by the Calgary Roughnecks. Deej, how you doing? Hoots pulled that clip up from our card opening stream and came right for yo ass.
Hey, that's when it became the year of the Big Mac, is when he pulled that up. It was going to be Fry Daddy season, and now it's the season of the Big Mac. So here we are. I just want to say, Steve Fryer, I was all about you being in the pipes. It was going to be Fry Daddy season, and people were going to get very tired of me saying that on Twitter and everywhere else, and was probably going to block me at some point. So I'll be a fan of yours if you end up somewhere else, but it is Big Mac season.
I will also say, Hoots and I were talking about this. We'll talk about this player in a little bit. There is a goalie that got released that I would like to see in Calgary because I think it makes a lot of sense for both parties.
Now we're just going to get rid of the Big Mac season and all the content.
No, because here's the thing. The goalie I'm talking about is the perfect like backup quarterback type of goalie.
Interesting.
So yeah. Some of the other moves that were made over the past couple of days, the Ottawa Black Bears with some absolutely crazy releases. They released Mitch Wild, Josh Courier, the boy. Liam Osborne and Owen S. Hill. The Desert Dogs released Spencer Milne, William Greco, Cole Gervais, Blake Gibson McDonald, Davis McCulley, and Nick Ellerton from the active roster. The Bandits released Vance Adams and Ryan Sharkey. They placed Angus McDonald and Luca Anton Giovanni on the draft list. Caleb Benedict got placed on the active roster from injured reserve for the Georgia Swarm. The Wings released Jack Jasinski and Holden Patterson. The Black Bears signed Devlin Shanahan to the practice player list. They also, this is a fun one. I don't know if he'll play, but the Black Bears signed Mason Woodward to a 1-year deal and placed him on the holdout list. That's fun. That's fun. The Halifax Thunderbirds released Ethan Malott, which I have to get. And I hope he signs. It'd be great if he signed with the Wings, but I need him to sign with the team because our ever so popular Philadelphia Eagles tailgate stage happened in M-Lot. So I need to get that jersey for my boy Dylan, who cooks up the finest of cuisine in a tailgate lot for him to wear because his nickname is the M-Lot Maestro. The Thunderbirds, the Thunderbirds released Ethan Malott, Xavier Taylor, and Goa Abrams. That's who I'm talking about. Calgary should be hitting up Goa Abrams right now. I think it's a perfect match, especially if Christian Del Bianco is not going to play. You need a guy who's been in the league. We saw his performance with Team USA as well. Goa Abrams is the perfect backup goalie in the NLL, where if you need a guy for a couple games here and there, you're on a back-to-back or whatever it may be, throw Goa Abrams in cage, you're gonna be just fine. I think the Calgary Roughnecks should have him on speed dial right now.
I'm cool with Goa Abrams coming over. That's a solid addition to the team. And Calgary Roughnecks front office, Josh Courier is available. We already dropped one. Let's not drop another.
Well, you already did drop another, but he was with y'all.
We are not talking to Philadelphia Wings fans right now.
Hey,
I am having a conversation with the GM of my team.
I want Josh Courier to succeed.
I
would like that move.
We don't need the outside 2 cents.
I'm just thinking outside the box. What you mean?
I bet you are.
I would like that move for Josh, though, to go back if he chooses to do so. That would be a good move.
I would love it. Make it happen.
The Seals released JJ Silstrop and Kyle Brunch from the active roster. No Brunch in San Diego. T's and P's to everyone's mimosas. They also released Marcus Hudgens from the draft list, which is pretty interesting. The Georgia Swarm released Luke Keenan and Ethan Riggs from the active roster.
I just found out this year T's and P's means
thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
Come on, dog. T's and P's is in my vernacular all the time.
We don't be saying that, bro.
That is a constant.
We say thoughts and prayers and pour out a drink.
That's too much. P could stand for pour too.
Thoughts and pours?
That's why it's T's and P's. It's plural.
That's fair. I'll take it.
The Roughnecks released Ben Foster and Dan Taylor from the active roster, but they also signed Nathaniel Koznikov to a 1-year deal. He was a free agent for all of, I believe, 4 days. I like that signing. He's a stud. But Deej, I'll let you have the floor on Dan Taylor, as he is signed with the Vegas Desert Dogs and is teaming up with Jonathan Donville, Jack Hanna, Adam Patra, and the rest of those boys out in Vegas.
I don't know how I feel about the Dan Taylor thing. I do appreciate the role he played on the offense and what he did for the Roughnecks and how key he was. But I almost feel like Vegas is a better spot for him with his age and his veteranism, but what they already have and how he can plug into their offense and be a spark plug at times, but also be a calming force out there that scores when they need and can help lead their young core to kind of some very necessary spots they need to be in order to grow.
He's almost their Rob Hellier replacement.
Yeah. It's a very nice spot for him, and like we don't lose a ton because of who we've brought in. We just lose his energy and those timely goals, which is going to suck. But I'm sure a lot of that can be replaced between Curtis Dixon and Dane Dobie making their way back, into Roughneck territory. So there isn't too much loss there, but it's an interesting, bittersweet moment where like I'm okay with him going, but like there are pieces where I kind of wish he'd stay around.
I also love how you said his veteranism, and he's 4 months older than me. Oh
boy, don't say it like you ain't no vet.
Them joints are hurting.
You a vet.
San Diego Seals have made a plethora of moves. They placed Cam Holding and Jacob Power on injured reserve. They placed Mac O'Keefe on the restricted free agent list. I'm just saying.
I'm like Jonathan Donville to your Dan Taylor. Like, I'm a couple years into this thing. You've been at it for a little bit.
Joints cracked a little bit.
I'm on the young side, still,
do some stretching here.
Making my impressions on the podcast world. Okay, you jacking it now. Relax.
Pause.
I'm just saying, bro. You did too much. You did too much.
Mac O'Keefe placed on the restricted free agent list from the active roster. I'm just saying, Paul Day, call that man. He lives in Philly. He works in Philly. Get that man on the phone.
Or he can come to Calgary.
He ain't even playing. I just said he works in Philly. He lives in Philly. You want him to get a whole passport out?
He can play U.S. games only if he won't.
I need Mac O'Keefe to be that sneaky, like, late February, early March rolls around, and the Wings are just looking for somebody, and then boom, trade for him. Bang.
Keep dreaming.
Hey, it happened with Kyle Jackson, so
keep dreaming.
Seals, this was almost a family casualty, but he got signed to the practice player list because Seals released Jake Covett, the boy.
I saw that. I was like,
placed on the practice player list. I was like, oh man, that has to be.
All right, Dad.
I was like, Thanksgiving is so soon. What are we doing? That dinner table's gonna be awkward. But Jake Covett tied in.
Where's Jake?
Steven, where's Jacob?
I don't know. How about you call him? Jacob, why aren't you here at Thanksgiving? Well, Dad fired me.
I'm eating in my room.
I'm not coming home. I'm staying in my apartment.
Existence is pain.
I went to churches and I got my own Thanksgiving dinner.
I got the Popeyes Cajun turkey. Relax.
And I got all the fixins, so I'm okay.
He just cranks up his music. Like, 'cause tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
Hilarious.
Shout out to Jake Covett. The Thunderbirds signed Mitch Wild to a 2-year deal after he got released by Ottawa. And then, unfortunate news for your Roughnecks, Liam LeClaire placed on the PUP list today from the active roster.
And did you see what happened with TD?
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Undisclosed amount of time that he's going to be out, but he is still out at the moment after suffering some kind of lower leg injury during their exhibition games over the weekend. So we're kind of on a standby notice for TD and what his season is going to look like, but looks like he's going to be out for at least part of the beginning.
Yeah, that sucks. because that video was not fun either.
No. And that's gonna stunt, the success of Toronto at the beginning of the year. As much as we want to say the face-off isn't as big of a deal in the box game,
over the past couple of years, it's become a big deal.
That, and I mean, you're in a tight game. You want possession. And the last thing you want to do is be throwing Mitch DeSnoo out there against Trevor Baptiste at the end of a game against the Seals.
And I mean,
when it's tied up with 30, there's 45 seconds left and it's tied up. You want the ball first, not second.
And you're going into the season already without Tom Schreiber to start the year, which he was at the WLL announcement because obviously Tom works for the league as well. He did not have a sling on, which I think is a positive development. But you don't have Tom Schreiber. Now you're down TD. And I think it was Grampero tweeting about it. Challen Rogers had a rough go in their exhibition game as well. He had multiple uncharacteristic turnovers. So that's not great. But yeah, hoping for the best for TD, and hopefully it's something that doesn't keep him out crazy long, and hopefully he recovers perfectly fine. He's back out on the floor before we know it. But that sucks because he's genuinely part of like that unicorn face-off group that we always talk about with Trevor, Joe Nardella, Jake Withers, TD. Like, those guys are a different breed, and without TD, it definitely changes the makeup for Toronto. And I mean, we saw it last year too when a team like Buffalo did not have a face-off athlete, and then they went and got Connor Farrell, changed the entire complexion of that team.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference. Having the ball makes a difference. Like,
it changed a lot for the Wings too. Like, the results may not have been there, but they were getting possessions, and it was more on the offense, wasn't able to move the ball. But when Nick Rowlett came in and Nick got going, the Wings looked like a better, more competent team in transition, getting possessions. Like, it matters, and it's mattered a lot more. Genuinely, I think since Trevor's rookie year is when we started to see the switch in the NLL from the traditional kind of like Jeremy Thompson's taking faceoffs, and Jeremy's still taking faceoffs, and he's super talented at it. But you started seeing like the traditional faceoff athletes coming in, and the ones that were able to hone in on either a defensive game and getting back on defense when needed, or able to just win the possession and sometimes just run down the floor and score for you, like Trevor can do, like Jake Withers can do, like Nards can do. That's the difference makers. And when you have one of those guys, you need to protect them at all costs. And for TD to get injured now, it sucks for Toronto big time. And again, just hoping TD gets healthy, and hopefully it doesn't impact his season too much, and hopefully it doesn't draw out, obviously, for his PLL season with the Redwoods. And he just gets back to tip-top shape before we know it. But yeah, NLL signings been going crazy a week before the season. Who would have thunk that we'd have so many big transactions across the board, shaking up the landscape of the league, Deej. Shall we get to our final installment of our 2024-2025 season preview? It's brought to you by our friends over at Buff, the official neckwear brand of Survivor. We've been talking to you guys about Buff for a little bit now, ever since Deej went on his run of watching Survivor. Buff has been on board with us, which is a crazy, crazy thing for me, looking back as a young lad back in the year 2000, watching season 1 of Survivor and seeing those awesome buffs around every single contestant's neck, on their wrists, using it as a t-shirt top, you name it. Buff is truly one of the coolest inventions out there to protect you from the sun, the cold, the wind. They've got you covered. We mentioned it last week. I'm going to mention it again here because it is a huge sale. Black Friday with Buff, up to 40% off select styles. Up to 40% off select styles on Black Friday. And guess what? Cyber Monday, up to 50% off select styles. You're getting half off on Cyber Monday. You're getting up to 40% off on Black Friday. You can't beat it. I know Deej is going to go on a spending spree because he just wants to feel like he's on Survivor, but it also snowed in Michigan. He's got to protect that face from the snow and the wind. Buff is truly the best, and use our link when you shop this Black Friday, this Cyber Monday with Buff, and figure out all the styles that you want to, check out. They also have from just the traditional, face gator, they've got the coolest products out there. Plus the Survivor capsule is just the coolest thing. And DJ, I know you're a big beanie guy. They got beanies for the everyday, for running, hiking, skiing, and snowboarding. I'm almost guaranteeing we're going to see Deej in a buff beanie before we know it.
I might have to cop a buff beanie. If y'all know anything about me, I'm going to wear a beanie when it get cold. Because, hey, I keep a bean, all right? And if you know anything about having some short hair, it gets cold. The head gets cold quick. And that's how you get sick. I know some of y'all ain't got black moms out there, but you always wear something on your head, or that's how you get sick. So I always got me a beanie on come wintertime.
Looking at the beanies right now, like, they're fire. Like, they look cool, and that's obviously, like, one of the biggest things when you're looking at headwear. I talk about this all the time. Like, a hat pulls together an outfit. I don't care if you're just running out to go grab something at the store. I don't care if whatever it may be. Your hat pulls together your outfit. Plus, Deej, you'll like this too. Buff has dog accessories.
Me and Indy can be flexing together.
You could get a whole bunch of stuff for Andy. You could get stuff for you. They got dog accessories. The dog collection is available. They've got obviously the Survivor collection, which is just undefeated. The Survivor collection's so fire. Shop Buff today and protect your face from the sun, the snow, the wind. And Deej, I can't wait to see you in a Buff beanie before we know it. But our NLL season previews have been brought to you by Buff. Let's get into the final USA installment. Deej, we got 4 more teams to break down. Most of the West Coast and Georgia. Let's start with Georgia and the Georgia Swarm, the team that still refuses to follow us. They're an interesting team. They're like the, I'm trying to think of the team to kind of compare them to. They're almost like the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NLL. Just a consistently in the mix team. You can never count them out. They're always going to find a way to get to 500 or better. And they always find a way to dig themselves out of any type of hole they find themselves in. And their roster's loaded. They obviously have the man, the myth, the legend, Lyle Thompson. They've got a wildly talented roster this year. Like, look, we'll start with their offense. Seth Van Sheppen, Lyle Thompson, Miles Thompson, Carter Page, Seth Oakes, Zach Miller, Andrew Q, Luke Keenan, Brady Kiernan, Shane Jackson, Jacob Hickey, Brendan Bomberry, Caleb Benedict, who we mentioned earlier. They've got a loaded offense. They've got one of the best goalies in the sport in Brett Dobson. They've got a great backup goalie in Angus Goodleaf. Their defense is pretty legit. You look at their defense makeup. I feel like you would wear this guy's jersey because if he ever makes a highlight, I already got the caption for it. Alex Bean.
Bean?
You got to keep it
like
a bean.
B-E-A-N?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bro. Yeah.
Keep it a bean. Liam Burns, TJ Camizio, Jeff Henrick, Mike Manley, John Rannigan, Ethan Riggs, Adam Weideman. That's a very talented defense. And then you look at their transition game that features the likes of Jeremy Thompson, Kaysen Tarbell, Jordan McIntosh, Joey Capito, who signed in free agency, Brian Cole. And then they got big Connor Baus in the mix as well. They're a talented roster. Like, they're going to be in the mix. They've got the worst mascot in the game. nightmare fuel. But I mean, you add Joey Capito to a team that already has Brian Cole and Jordan McIntosh in the transition game, like, and Jeremy Thompson, no less. Like, their transition unit is, in my opinion, one of the best in the entire league. And that's a huge win for them, is they have the pieces to just move the ball up and down the floor with so many talented guys. Like Brian Cole and Joey Capito, those two in particular are regarded as two of the best transition players in the sport. And when they're on the same team now, that gives you a multitude of options in the transition game. And obviously, goaltending is key in any form of lacrosse. And when you have Brett Dobson holding it down for you, that's a huge advantage in and of itself. And then you got Lyle Thompson, Shane Jackson, Andrew Q as your big three on offense. They're gonna be in the mix all year long.
If we want to be honest here, the reason why they have won games in the past couple of years is due to their transition. Their offense is wildly talented, but like gets stalled a lot. Their defense oftentimes has disappeared. They've always had pretty decent goaltending, even when they had Mike Poulin. And so it's the matter of the fact that they had all the pieces, but when they won games, it was always 1 or 2 goals for the most part, and it was due to their transition unit. That's kind of just how they run their team, is taking advantage of their transition unit and how good they are in controlling that part of the game, which can really control a lot. You're controlling the pace of the game, which really can dictates how many possessions each side is getting, and all of these different factors. So it's a smart strategy. But if we want to be honest about Georgia, I think we're going to get the same Georgia we've been getting the last couple of years, and they're going to lose some games that we really feel like they should win. They're going to win some games that we really feel like they should lose. They're going to be in the middle pack, the upper middle pack. That is where Georgia lives, in that upper middle pack, because they have guys like Lyle Thompson and Brett Dobson and Shane Jackson. They're a little bit better than your average team, so they get into the playoffs and then they fizzle out, and that's pretty much what I'm expecting from Georgia this year.
I'm also very dumb because we mentioned it at the top of the show when we were going through transactions. The Storm released Luke Keenan and Ethan Riggs, so disregard me listing them off on their roster just then. Their captains this year, pretty interesting. Tell me if you feel a certain way about this. This Georgia Storm captains: Brian Cole, Jordan McIntosh, Shane Jackson.
No, I don't feel any type of way about that. I like that unit.
J-Mac's wearing the C, Shane's wearing the A, and Brian Cole's wearing the A.
Yeah, I have no gripes with that. I like that unit a lot for them. I think they all bring different leadership styles.
So, yeah, I mean, the Swarm are always in the mix. Like, they were the team last year, too, that it was like, oh, look, they're finally falling apart. And then they rattle off, fucking 9 wins in a row and spoil so many team seasons because of it. Both of ours included. But at the end of the day, it benefited at least the Wings to a degree, and I think it benefited the Roughnecks to kind of realize that they had to change some things up. So we'll see what happens with the Swarm. With a more talented league because of the dispersal draft, it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to compete, because they are a team that's always so fluid in changing things and accumulating draft picks and younger players and things like that, and trying to get them in the mix. And we'll see how it works out for them. But they are a Wings rival, and whenever the Wings play them, I hope the Wings absolutely demoralize them. But they're a frisky team. They're fun. They have very talented players. We're friends with a bunch of them, and a bunch of them listen to the pod. So, yeah, that's the Georgia Swarm. Who's your player to watch for the Swarm?
I mean, I shouldn't even have to answer this question. Y'all
No,
know
you
I'm
have
coming
to.
back
You
with
have to
it.
do it for the brand.
Y'all know I'm coming back with it once a week. My man's is just that good at lacrosse. It is obviously Lyle Thompson.
I have 2. Number 1 is Joey Capito. I want to see how he meshes with this team and in a new environment, how he competes and how his game not translates not the right word, but how his game kind of fits in with the Georgia Swarm style of lacrosse and how he and Brian Cole kind of coexist together. And then my other's Brett Dobson. I just want to see Dauber, continue to grow and take that next step as being one of the elite goalies in the sport, not just in the NLL, in the entire sport. He's so much fun to watch, and he's a pain in the neck for opposing offenses, no matter what style of lacrosse he's playing. But if you want to watch good goaltending, watch Brett Dobson because he's that dude. Do we want to go to Colorado or do we want to go to Sin City?
I think we have to give Colorado their due respect.
Let's go talk about the Mammoth.
Well, I mean, doing them last and being runner-ups, giving them that due diligence to the last couple of years. Sorry, not last year, the year before that.
They did win.
So,
I was just saying.
I honestly don't care. I don't care. We can go to Colorado.
Let's go to Colorado.
What up, Hoots?
What up, Hoots? We are going to have Mammoth coverage this year because of Hoots, so that's very exciting. And we're going to be working pretty closely with the Mammoth to get guys on the pod this year, which is going to be a lot of fun and just growing our relationship with them. The Mammoth were a disappointment last year, to put it lightly. Finished with the worst record in the league. Their draft pick was traded to the New York Riptide, which was traded to the Philadelphia Wings, and that's how Brennan O'Neill ended up on the Wings. But you lose Joey Capito in free agency. You still have a wildly talented roster. You still have a big part of your core coming back. And I think last year, in a lot of ways, was kind of just like an anomaly year for the Mammoth. Like nothing went right for them. They had a shit ton of injuries. And I think now that they're healthy, I think now that they have guys back that they were missing for a majority of last year, it's going to help a lot. And I think their offense this year is going to be one to watch because their offense is stupid talented. I'm going to rattle off some of the guys here. Tyson Gibson, Connor Kelly, Ryan Lee, knock on wood, hoping those knees stay healthy. Will Malcolm, obviously back with the Mammoth from the dispersal draft. Ben McDonald, Eli McLaughlin, Connor Robinson, Dalton Solver, Thomas Vason, Zed Williams, Thomas Vila. Like, they have a very talented offense. And now that Will Malcolm is back, it almost feels like last year, and I know Will Malcolm's been gone for a couple years, but it felt like Will Malcolm was the type of offensive player that this offense has been missing since they won that championship. And now they've got him back. They're hoping Ryan Lee's going to be healthy. You have Zed Williams. You have Liger. You have C-Rob. You have Tyson Gibson. Connor Kelly really showcased a lot for, I think, everyone in the box game last year. That's a very talented offense. You look at their transition game, Jalen Chaster, Kai George, Jordan Gillies, Caleb Martin's backup goalie, Owen Ron. Like, transition game is going to take a hit when you lose Joey Capito. Like, that's just a fact. But then you look at their defense, Brett Craig, Owen Down, Tim Edwards, Tyler Garrison, Robert Hope, Warren Jeffrey, AJ Mercurio on this team, which is very exciting. Denver kid. And then obviously Dylan Ward. You know, you want to see Dylan Ward kind of bounce back. He had a down NLL year. He had a non-characteristic PLL year. You hope that's kind of just a one-off for Dylan Ward and kind of just an anomaly. But I think that's your biggest question going into this season is you have the pieces on offense. The defense is still very much intact. It's your transition game that is relatively young, and them performing in the absence of Joey Capito leaving in free agency and finding the next guy to step up, whether that be Jordan Gillies or somebody else. And then you're hoping for a bounce back from Dylan Ward.
I think Most of that will work itself out. I think the big thing for me this year with Colorado is, can you bounce back as a team? It is so hard to go from the top of the league. Let's look at this. They won the NLL Cup. Or sorry, they lost it?
They
and then won it and then lost it again and then went to the bottom. Runner up, champ, runner up, bottom of the fucking league.
Well, no, Calgary won in 19, and then there was no champion. There was no season for 2 years, and then they won in 22, lost in 23, and then
Same
bottom of
thing.
the league.
All the
They
same.
just, well, minus the one runner-up
that's
before
what-
the championship.
Same thing. You went from runner up to bottom of the fucking league.
Yeah.
That is so hard to come back from.
Well,
Like, yes, they're professional athletes, but like
in a
do
in
they
a
have it in
positive
them?
light, there's only one way to go.
I mean, no. You could stay stagnant and be at the bottom of the league again. That's
Right,
a
that means you're
direction
not
to go as
moving.
well. That's
You
still
can't go down. You can't go down.
But
you're the man.
you're moving straight. That's not good either. You want to be moving up. That's what I'm saying. There is another direction to go, and it's not necessarily up. That is what Colorado doesn't want, and I don't know if they can avoid that. It is so hard to mentally come back from that. But what it comes down to is, do the 30 odd guys in that locker room believe it, including coaching staff and all that? But do those guys believe this team can do what the last team did? And can they pull themselves out of this hole? That's where it starts. And then that energy transfers into other parts. But that is a big part of this season, is, are they going to be able to bounce back from what they went through last year? Like you said, they have all the pieces. I do think Dylan Ward is going to bounce back and have a great year because he's Dylan Ward. He's never down for too long. And last year was just a tough year for him because he didn't quite have a great PLL season either. He flushes that, and he's Dylan Ward. Offense is the offense. I think the big piece is mentally and emotionally, can they handle having to come back from being in the bottom of the league?
And hear me out on this. I know it's a completely different league, different style of the game. You look at 3 guys on this roster, 2 of them teammates year-round, Connor Kelly, Dylan Ward, and you look at Zed Williams. Connor Kelly and Dylan Ward are coming off of being at the bottom of the standings in both leagues that they play in a full calendar season. They were the bottom of the barrel in the NLL. They go outdoors, PLL, Waterdogs finish last in the league. Zed Williams goes from bottom of the league in the NLL last season to the Whip Snakes going to the championship and losing in the championship. We know how much this sport means to Zed Williams and how much he loves competing and wants to win. I think those 3, if they have an opportunity, like during the rest of training camp, or if they haven't already, like if those 3 can use those like shared experiences of, yo, we sucked last year. We know we sucked last year. Dylan and I are coming off of our worst PLL season as well. We're tired of being at the bottom. We're done being a bottom of the table team. Zed Williams talking about, he's lost the championship with this Mammoth team. He's now lost the championship with the Whip Snakes. You talk about what that feeling feels like and how it's not fun to grind for, a December to June slate and not have the success. And then you go from June to September and you fall just shy of a championship. I think if those guys can kind of, rally this team in that sense and really get them in a mindset of getting out of the basement. I think it would be really helpful. And I think my biggest question really is the transition game because, like I said, Joey Capito going to Georgia is huge for them, but you also want to see how he meshes with that system. But losing him in Colorado, he's kind of been a face of that team for so long. He's an absolute menace in transition. You want to see how Colorado's transition game evolves post Joey Capito now.
They're young. I think that piece is to me, transition is a little more straightforward. It's pretty much drive to the net. If no one's in front of you, someone steps up, you pull it out. If you got somebody with you, you give it up. Like, all those guys have to do is be athletic and have enough stick skills to do that. I think that they can pick, like, obviously they're not going to be Joey Caputo and they're not going to be able to have the same knowledge that he has at the moment, but I think you can gain that over the years. Like, transition to me isn't as big of a deal as the mood piece is going to be. I feel like there's a lot of easy fixes to the quote unquote transition problems they have, which is really just uncertainty of what is there. I think that's a lot easier to work through than having to prove to yourself and to your fans that this season isn't going to be what last was.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season, but I was talking with Adam Levy this week, and we both agreed that this offense has the ability to be a top-performing offense this season. When you're scoring goals in the NLL, you're typically winning games. So we'll see how Colorado kind of bounces back from a very down year last year. Who's your player to watch?
Is Ryan Lee supposed to play this year?
Yep, as long as he's healthy. But he is back.
Whether that is the guy to watch.
Yeah.
We want to watch him if he's playing, and we want to also
quite literally
watch, and we also want to watch if he's not playing. His availability is going to be a big piece for this Colorado team this season.
I'm going to say Will Malcolm being back with this team and his energy and his talent being back in the mix and seeing how he kind of meshes with somebody like Connor Kelly, who they haven't played together in the NLL, seeing how he gets back on the same page with Eli McLaughlin, with Ryan Lee and Connor Robinson, and having his presence back in that locker room, I think is going to be huge for them. So seeing him back with the Mammoth is going to be a lot of fun. And I think he's definitely my player to watch this season, and seeing him back in a big market NLL wise is going to be a lot of fun as well. Let's take a hop, skip, and a jump to Sin City, Deej. The Vegas Desert Dogs, a team that is littered with fun talent, has a new face of the franchise, and I think has a new expectation about them and kind of want to take that next step. Obviously the past couple of years, it's been kind of finding their footing, figuring out their identity, and really, cementing themselves as a long-standing franchise in the league. And obviously the results win-loss wise haven't been what they've wanted. But you look at this roster right now, and it is extremely talented. And obviously the arrival of Jonathan Donville via the dispersal draft is a huge franchise-altering move to where you have one of the best young talents in the game. He's a face of a franchise type of player. He's a franchise-altering type of player. And he's going to make every single offensive player that was already on this team or was coming into this team better than what they have been because of him being on the floor with them. And I'm excited to watch Donnie kind of put this team on his back offensively and be the guy, along with Jack Hanna, along with Patra, and a whole bunch of other players on this team that I'm excited to break down here. But let's start with their offense. Jonathan Donville, Luke Pilcher, our guy Marshall King, Dylan Kinnear, Jackie Overs, Jack Van Overbeek on this roster. Adam Patra, Casey Jackson, Dan Taylor, Jack Hanna, Dylan Watson, Sean Wesley, Kyle Killen, now in Vegas, Jake Harrington, Aiden Dananza, Jackson Webster. That's your offense there in terms of forwards. That's a fun group right there. Obviously, spotlights on Donnie, Adam Patra, Dan Taylor, Jack Hanna, Casey Jackson, Kyle Killen. Like, those are some big names right there. This offense has the potential to really find their footing for the first time in franchise history and really have like an identity to what they do offensively.
I think you're kind of wrong there. I think they kind of already had that. I mean, year one wasn't terrible for them. Year two, they were right outside the playoffs. Like, they have made all the necessary strides in the first couple years that you should. They have had a group of young guys who their identity for the first couple years was proving that they belonged, proving that Las Vegas loves lacrosse and they wanted to be there, proving that the young guys had enough to compete in the league and that they were going to be competitive. Now it's about just taking the next step and winning games and going to the playoffs. Like, I would not be surprised to see Vegas be a playoff team this year based on the trajectory they've been on the last couple of years. They're just shifting their identity, in my opinion, from, hey, we're not just these young guys that are proving how good we are and are standing in this league. We're now an established team that has all the right pieces to be a playoff team and a contender. And that is what I'm excited for this Vegas team, is that they're shifting their mindset to be competitive. It's not just to be here and grow the game, and which is always, an underlying part of it, but that's not their sole focus. Isn't just to exist and to make, a name for themselves and to try and be successful. The shift is, we're great and it's time to be successful. And I'm really excited to see what they put out. The offense is going to be exciting for the fact that they have a great mix of young and old, a great mix of experienced and rookies, or inexperienced guys, a great mix of, I'm just going to go out and make a play, and a great mix of, hey, this is what we need to do. You do this, do that, and I'll get you the ball here, and you put it in the back of the net. They have a balanced unit across the floor, not even just on the offensive end, but more so on the offensive end. It's very balanced and very set up to be successful from multiple avenues of attack.
I mean, looking at their first two seasons in the league hasn't been the results you'd want. Obviously, it's an expansion team, so you kind of take that with a grain of salt. But both years, 5-13. Last year, they finished in 14th place in the unified standings out of 15 teams. They finished 6th in the West in 2023. Last year, they were dreadful at home, 2-7 at home, 3-6 on the road. And the reason I'm excited about their offense to kind of have an identity, even though you had the Rob Helliers and you had, pieces on this team, it never really clicked fully. Last year, they scored 176 goals for the season. They gave up 223. Season before, they scored 179, gave up 222. They've been like very even Steven in their 2 years of existence. A lot of like similar stats, win-loss record. So I'm excited for Donville to be there because I think Donnie and Jack Hanna together are going to be very exciting as a duo. You add in supplementary pieces like Kyle Killen, who I think is a very talented and under the radar type of player, where he's bounced around from Colorado to Vancouver, now in Vegas. But when he's on your team, he's making plays. He's a guy that can win you a couple games a year. I'm excited for him to be in this mix. We obviously talked about Dan Taylor earlier and what he brings to the table and is kind of a younger version of what Rob Hellier was these past 2 years for them. And Casey Jackson back with this team. He's wildly talented. We're both big Casey Jackson fans. And Marshall King is that dude. And when Marshall King's on the floor, you kind of see that energy kind of get injected into this team. So I'm excited for their offense big time. And, kind of he's not necessarily a wild card because I don't think he's going to be bad per se, but he is a fun wrinkle to this offense is bringing in Adam Patra. Obviously, he's a draft pick. He's young. We saw what he did this summer with the Whip Snakes and how much life he injected into their offense. I'm super excited to see him on that left side for the Vegas Desert Dogs. I think my big question is what their big question's been since they've existed, and that's goaltending. You know, you want to talk about another team that I think should kind of call Goa Abrams potentially. It's the Vegas Desert Dogs. You have Nathan Fasten, Landon Kells, who I think Landon's good. He's just young and kind of trying to figure out his way, and obviously having the defense perform in front of him is going to be a big part of this as well. And then you have Justin Getty, but you know, they signed Joel Watson this offseason. Then they released him. A lot of people were confused about that. It's obviously Landon Kell's job to lose in net. He's been kind of the constant in this goalie room now that Joel is gone, but goaltending is going to be something to watch this season with this team. You look at the transition. I like their transition game a lot. Obviously, you look at this. Tor Reinhold is one of the best in the game. Our guy, Deej, we got to get him on the pod this year. Mustang Sally's in Vegas. Rev up those engines. Brandon Goodwin, Jacob Rouet, Shane Simpson, Tyler Carpenter, Connor Kirst, who you and I are both huge Connor Kirst fans. You know, kind of highlight that transition unit. And then you look at the defense. You have David Brock, the suit man, suiting up for Vegas this year. I think that's a huge signing for them, just from a veteran champion type of player coming over from Halifax to this young core for Vegas to be in that room. I think is going to be huge for them. You have Jake Saunders, Zach Cole, James Barclay is back with them, Kenny Brower, Josh Jackson, Dylan Hutchison, Max Wayne. Defense is going to be fun. You know, I think there's obviously going to be questions in terms of just consistency from their defense and their back end. But if they're scoring goals again, their core of offense is 27 or younger, which is very exciting for just the now and the future. I think my biggest concerns are just defense and goaltending right now, just being consistent on a week in and week out basis.
I think Landon Kells was never really given enough in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that they necessarily have a goaltending problem. It's very hard to save goals when opportunities are so great. When a lot of great opportunities are given to shooters who shoot well, they tend to make them stick, especially if they know that there's more coming later. And that is more so what I believe the issue is with the previous issue, in my opinion, with Vegas. I don't think that is the same concern this year. I think some of the new pieces kind of alleviate some of those problems and help take away some of the opportunities that defense was giving up. So, but I think a consistency piece from the defense may be a problem. Are they going to be able to play like that all season long? And are they going to be consistent with it throughout a game? Can they play 4 quarters like that, let alone, you know, an entire season? So I agree with the consistency piece, but I do think goaltending is more of a scenario that comes down to what is happening in front of them rather than them. But I do think Vegas will continue to, in my opinion, last year wasn't better statistically, but you could see the product was better and from what they were putting out. So I think they take another step up in that direction in terms of putting out a better, even better product than what they did in the past. I think they win more games this year. And then they just look to continue really cementing themselves as a franchise.
And I mean, you and I are both big Sean Williams fans, their head coach and GM. So now that he hasn't had talent, but now that he's got like blue chip talent on this team. I'm excited to watch him cook with this blue chip talent. Who's your player to watch in Vegas?
I really like Shane Simpson and what he brings to the game. He spent some time up in Calgary as well. And he's just a great transition piece that knows how to play both sides of the ball and really brings energy out on the floor. When he makes a play, the whole team feels it and they ride off that energy. So definitely somebody to keep an eye on for Vegas.
It's funny that this team, like, they're so fun on paper. I have 3 guys that if you want to watch some fun NLL action this year, obviously number 1 is Jonathan Donville. He's going to be spotlighted a ton, and I think him, not that Vegas is a traditional market, but it is a bigger market. He's going to be spotlighted a ton, and you're going to be able to watch a ton of Jonathan Donville this year, and he is just so fucking good, guys. Like, I can't exaggerate it enough, and it's funny, like, anytime he gets brought up in a Boston Cannons press conference, Brian Holman can't speak highly enough of Jonathan Donville. So getting to watch Donnie is going to be a ton of fun on this Vegas team. Adam Patra is number 2 for me. You know, watching him this summer with the Whip Snakes. Shout out Sarah Griffin. It was the summer of Patra. And if that trajectory continues, it's going to be the winter and spring of Patra. So I'm excited to watch Adam in his first NLL season. And then my other player to watch is going to be our guy, Connor Kirst. Connor Kirst, I think, is another player that, like, just flies under the radar, especially in the box game. But you saw him with Team USA. You saw what he's been able to do with Vegas. And I'm very excited for him to take another step forward this year with this team and really be a dynamic piece in that transition game. And we saw it this year too with the Cannons. Dude can score if you give him the opportunity. And he's playing transition game. If he's moving ball in transition, don't be surprised if Kirsty's going out there and shooting and scoring some goals this year at a much higher rate than we've seen in years past. I'm excited. We need to get the curse on this show big time, because
All of them
together would be great. But here, the one time we got Connor Kirst in a press conference this year, I was like, we need to talk to this guy more. He is so fun to talk to. Obviously, we get the whole Kirst family together. It's a wrap, but I thoroughly enjoy Connor Kirst. I think his game is so much fun to watch. So I also love that his bio on the Desert Dogs website is the Cursed file.
It's actually sick.
So yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, they did that for everybody. So their player bio is their name file. That's pretty funny. So yeah, I'm excited for the Desert Dogs. They were our League Pass team last year. We'll see if they run it back again. We'll announce our League Pass team next week. But yeah, Vegas is they're gonna be frisky fun, and hopefully they improve from a 5-13 record this season. Final team, Deej, of our season preview. It's our good pals, our newest pals from last season. A lot of change on this team from last year, but some fun change. That is the San Diego Seals. A lot of fun players on this roster still. They lose Curtis Dixon. They lose Dane Doby. They head to your Roughnecks. They bring in Rob Hellier from Vegas. They bring in Ben McIntosh from Philadelphia. They bring in Zach Currier. They still have the likes of Danny Logan, of Kyle Jackson, Trey LeClaire, Patrick Shumay, Eli Gobrecht. They bring in Ryan Benesh in free agency. They still have Cam Holding on that defense. Wes Berg is still in the mix. They have both Matt and Justin Sykes. Trevor Baptiste is still there. It is a travesty that Jesse Gamble does not play for Vegas because of his last name. They have Jesse Gamble. Kyle Rubish is back. Drew Belgrave. They're a fun team. obviously a lot of turnover and new faces on that offense, from Ben McIntosh to Ryan Benesh, and who's the other person that I said? Why am I blanking already? Oh, Rob Hellier. But this is a team that's I mean, Trevor Baptiste and Zach Curry are on the same team. That's pure villain mode. That's crazy. Like, I never thought we'd see the day that those two would have the opportunity to play together on the same team. And here we are.
I mean, this is very simple for me. It's championship or bust, like legitimately championship or bust. That is purely it. San Diego gets no grace this year.
Yeah.
You out here putting the Avengers together every year that you're around, like you got extra money somehow. And you keep going out and disappointing. It's not cool.
Like, they get it done in the regular season, but the playoffs roll around and they're up until this year, they've been like the Dodgers.
Like, come on. It's right there for you to take, and you just decide not to. It's getting out of hand. At this point, I'm about to self-impose and say that if y'all ain't going to win a championship this year, y'all need to start disposing of some pieces to some other teams. Since y'all ain't going to do it right, let some other teams figure it out. They ain't even got to come to Calgary. I ain't even going to act like that.
I was going to say they disposed of a couple guys to Calgary already.
And I mean, hey, last time I checked, them boys won a couple chips with us. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's a chance we win another one this year. I ain't mad if they want to dispose some more to us. I'm fine with that. But in all reality, they're a completely stacked team that is very good. Their expectations should be through the roof, and there isn't really a hole in their team other than the fact that they can't finish when it is most important. And it's not that they don't have clutch guys there. It's not that they don't have that gene. It just doesn't. The bounces don't go for them. That's it. That's the only thing in their way.
They play so tight when the playoffs roll around. Like, they just forget, like, who they are almost. And, like, even last year, like, you broke the glass in case of emergency and got Brody Merrill's jersey retired, and then he came out of retirement and suited up for you. Now he's in the front office for them. We love Patrick Merrill, friend of the program. I think he's a wildly talented head coach and GM. You have one of the best young goalies, if not the best young goalie in the league, in Chris Origlieri, who I'm a huge fan of. Peyton Rozanka is healthy, which I think is going to bolster this defense. Like you said, it's put up or shut up time for this team. Like, they have so many pieces, so many championship type pieces on this roster. It comes down to executing in the playoffs. We know, there's teams, you see it a lot in the NBA, where you see it with players more, and they get labeled an 82-game player or 16-game player. You need the Seals to put it together and be a regular season juggernaut and a postseason juggernaut for their internal successes. You can't just dominate in the regular season, finish top 4 in the table, and then when the postseason lights turn on, you just disappear and vanish. That's not organizational success. And it's very much like the Dodgers up until this year. The Dodgers doing the same thing. They go out and sign the Avengers. You bring in Ohtani and Yamamoto, and you had Freddie Freeman brought in. You brought in Mookie Betts. Like, you brought in these players to win a championship. It is that time for the Seals. Will they do it? It remains to be seen. The Bandits are the champions until proven otherwise. Even with some of their injuries, Toronto is still a dominant team. We're seeing the Philadelphia Wings kind of do an East Coast Avengers style of thing right now. Calgary's getting the band back together. We'll see how that, pays off for them. And, there's the Georgia Swarm. We just talked about them. That's another team that is very like put up or shut up. So I mean, the Seals have a lot of convincing to do to their fans and to the masses in terms of postseason success. You can have all the regular season success you want. You can hang the regular season champions banner all you want at Pechanga Arena. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you performing in the postseason. And that's what everyone is clamoring for you to do. We want to see this team have, their riches pay off. You've pushed your chips into the middle of the table post-COVID every single year. Now's the time to show that, like, hey, we have the right pieces in place to do it. It wasn't Curtis Dixon. It wasn't Dane Dobie. It wasn't Kevin Crowley. But now you bring in 3 more veteran guys on offense. Rob Hellier, Ryan Benesh, Ben McIntosh. Let's see if they're the code that, cracks the postseason drought for the San Diego Seals, and they find it. But I agree with you. It's put up or shut up time with this team, and we love the Seals. We love the Seals top to bottom. They treat us extremely well. We love their front office. A lot of the guys on the team are friends of the pod. We want to see our boys succeed, and it's time for them to figure it out when the postseason rolls around. Who's your player to watch or players to watch in San Diego?
Oh, it's one, and it's arguably the best player on the team, Zach Currier. Arguably the best player in the world if we really want to talk about what lacrosse is. He does every facet of it, and he does it at a fantastic level. If you're watching San Diego Seals lacrosse and you don't have your eyes on 77 at some point during the game, you are simply not doing it correctly.
Well said. Well said. I have a couple guys on this team. Number 1 is Trey Leclerc. One of the more wildly talented Swiss Army knife type of players who just does it all no matter what season it is. I really want to see Trey take another step forward this year with this team and be a force. Trey Leclerc's a big dude. We all know he's 6'2", 210, but he probably presents himself as 6'5", 230. He's a force. I want to see him really step his game up to another level this year. Another player I'm excited to watch, Cam Accione. Transition for this team is going to be so much fun to watch, from Trevor to Zach. You add in a young guy like Cam to the transition game. Obviously, you have Trey Leclerc in that transition game as well. You have guys up and down this roster in the transition game that are going to make the Seals arguably it's got to be them and probably Georgia just off the top of the dome, looking at the transition games for those teams that are going to be fighting for best in the league. So I'm excited to watch Cam get in the mix with guys like Trevor, Zach Currier, and Trey Leclerc, and those guys be a force of a unit. And then my other guy to watch, because he's just so goddamn fun to watch all the fucking time, is Westberg. Westberg is that dude. And if you want to watch just an enjoyable brand of lacrosse, watch Westberg play. He is that dude. I'm excited to watch him another season with this offense and him be in the mix with the likes of, Ryan Benesh, another year with Kyle Jackson, him and Ben McIntosh, who have duked it out for years. When Wes was in Calgary, Ben was in Saskatchewan. Now they're on the same team. And then obviously putting in Rob Hellier in the mix too. The offense has a chance to be really fun. And another player too on this team that is so fun, and we all know this if you're a true lacrosse head, Patrick Shumay, man. That dude is a fucking dog. And he just does stuff on the floor that will blow your mind when he gets the opportunity to do it. Seals are going to be fun, but again, it is put up or shut up time for the San Diego Seals this year. That's our season previews, man. Next week is NLL time. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let us know your excitement levels for your favorite NLL team. Leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. Get in the mix with us. We'll react to your thoughts, concerns, questions, all of that. One final thought here. It's brought to you by the PLL app and our PLL app code. This new update on the PLL app is pretty nice. A lot more seamless and just smooth operating from just the user interface side of things. Shout out to BC and the boys and the ladies working on the app. The PLL app is your one-stop shop for everything related to PLL news, transactions, articles from the beat writers, videos, highlights, plus everything WLL is also in the PLL app. It's also gamified, so you get trivia, you get a whole bunch of ways to earn experience points to level up your game in the app. It gives you access to different fantasy groups during the season, gives you access to discounts in the PLL shop. It's truly one of the best apps I have on my phone. Deej loves the app as well. Hoots loves the app. Chase uses it all the time. How do you think the PLL pipeline's posted so quick? Sometimes I think Chase is running the app because he gets his posts up so quick. Download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store. And when you go to the redeem code section, use our code OTBPOD. That's OTBPOD for 500 XP on your account. Code OTBPOD for 500 XP in the PLL app. A couple big signings. Connor Kelly extended with the Philadelphia Waterdogs today as we record this on Thursday through 2026. Huge signing there. I'm very happy he's back. I wasn't sure if he would be back. I leaned toward yes, but I felt this little pocket of doubt that he could potentially leave in free agency, whether it was to go and be in Denver full time or go to New York. Obviously, he's a Connecticut native, but I'm very happy that CK Foudy, the two-bomb king, is back with the Waterdogs through 2026. And I'm pretty sure another big move happened with the Cannons. Zach Goodrich is back with the Cannons. The longest tenured Cannon is extended through 2026 as well. That's a huge move for Boston to keep him there. He's been there since the beginning. Did we talk about our guy being back? That was last week, right? The boy, Matt DeLuca signed. Seeing if there's any other. Or no, we didn't talk about
that. No, not DeLuca. No,
Matt DeLuca back with the Waterdogs through 2026.
That's not who I thought you were talking about.
Stoked for Matt. Obviously, he didn't want to go anywhere. He loves playing for the Waterdogs, loves being in that locker room, and couldn't be happier for our guy to be back through 2026. Was there any other signings? Oh, yeah, everyone freaking out and losing their minds because the Boston Cannons tweeted he's back. And if you numbskulls thought that was about Lyle Thompson, you're absolute buffoons. I could not believe how many people felt bait and switched and slighted by that announcement. Like, come on. That is just proof that the PLL social media managers are just getting better at their game and doing what they're supposed to do for their job. If you thought Lyle Thompson was coming back from that tweet, you're kidding yourself.
They just don't pay attention for real.
Like, what are we doing?
Just open your eyes for a little minute, read a couple tweets, listen to a couple things some people will say, and y'all will know what's going on. We be knowing what's going on because we pay attention. It's that simple.
People were really hurt.
I really don't believe Lyle's playing another PLL second,
Guys,
another second of PLL.
We talked about it, I think, off pod. There's some PLL fans that don't even know Lyle Thompson played in the PLL. There's some PLL fans that don't even know Lyle Thompson, which is crazy to think about, but it's true.
Yep. And it's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay. We're not going to die.
Lyle's been thriving. The Cannons have been thriving. is totally fine.
Not that I don't want one of my favorite
Right.
players to be playing, but it is what it is. It's
It
happening.
is what it
We're all
is.
still alive. It's happening. We're all still alive, and we're all still watching phenomenal lacrosse.
It's
I don't
so
see a
funny.
problem here.
So many people were so hurt about that, and I couldn't help but laugh. I was laughing like the Joker.
It was hilarious to me because I was like, "Y'all are not for real right now,"
Y'all
they
are
they were very for real.
so unserious. But Asher Nolting back with the Cannons. I know he's pumped to be back. Were there any other signings that I'm totally blanking on, PLL wise?
Not that I can think of.
Because the Atlas didn't sign anybody. Chaos have not signed anyone. Waterdogs obviously re-signed CK Fody.
And DeLuca.
And DeLuca. Did the Whips sign anyone? I know we talked about Tim Muller last week.
I haven't seen anything new, but
because the Redwoods didn't sign anybody yet.
definitely not them.
And people who were like thinking it was a foregone conclusion that Asher was going to re-sign with the Cannons, sure, like that's where he wants to be. Obviously, that's who he's going to give priority to. You can't openly tell yourself that there weren't other teams in the league who were fingers crossed and had a game plan for if Asher hit the open market that they were going to make him priority number one.
You'd be crazy.
You'd be crazy. And one of them is probably the Redwoods.
I would hope so.
You know, like
I would hope so.
If Asher hit the open market, you'd be fooling yourself if you thought that the Redwoods were not going to make him priority number one. He's a West Coast kid. Let's bring him as close to Colorado as possible and make him the face of the franchise.
Well, that would be Denver. But I would
as possible. He's obviously not going to Denver because they don't have a spot for him with all the fucking Tomahawk boys.
All I'm saying is it technically is physically possible for him to be.
I know, but I said
Colorado.
as close to home as
that's all I was saying.
Roster construction possible.
That's all I was saying.
Always got to cover.
But if it were to ever come out that he was on the open market and we didn't take a shot at it, y'all would see a generational crash out. Generational. Oh, it would be so bad. So bad. So, for now, we are all spared.
Drats.
I think I've gone crash out list this pod, which means I'm due for one soon.
The Archer Chris Bates also had a quote. I think it was in Zach's article on the PLL website. Like he fully intends for everyone to kind of be back with them next year. So that's a good sign for the defending champions. But yeah, a lot of good PLL signings. Like I said, leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. Next week's episode, breaking the fourth wall here. DJ and I will probably be recording earlier in the week. So if things happen leading into face-off weekend, injury-wise, roster-wise, it'll be a little delayed there because we'll probably be recording on Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest. Because it's Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, this upcoming week, and then Friday the games get. Deej, we got picks to we got to lock in. We didn't have the best PLL season, but we got to lock in NLL wise.
I mean, I'm a beast when it comes to NLL.
We had our we the past couple years we have had as a pod. We probably won some people some money.
I would imagine because I've been cooking last couple of years when it comes to NLL. So.
And we have been on a generational run where more likely than not we are as a pod over 500.
But I do want to point out you shouldn't trust my first 3 weeks of picks.
We got to get a feel. But next week
after that, weeks 4 through 20. Hey, we out here.
Next week, this is what we have to look forward to. Toronto at Ottawa, Vancouver at Colorado on Friday. Saturday, Vegas at Rochester, Saskatchewan at Albany, and then Sunday standalone, Philadelphia at San Diego.
Go Seals, baby.
Fuck you and yo couch. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow DJ SCS_next great. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the motherfucking pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star review. Goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow. Helps more people find OTB and all of our podcasts on the network. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every single week. That's where you get OTB cast live streams. I'm sure we'll be plotting and scheming a schedule for that pretty soon to live stream some games along with you guys. We are 24 subscribers away from 900. Can we please get there before the end of the month? 24 more of you just need to subscribe. YouTube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. And sign up for Wall Ball for Warfighters and check out wallballforwarfighters.com and shootoutforsoldiers.com to get involved with one of the coolest campaigns of the year. You can register at wallballforwarfighters.com. Submit your videos, tag Shootout for Soldiers, tag OTB. We'll repost them. We'll share them everywhere. It's one of the coolest initiatives that Shootout for Soldiers has each and every year. It's wallballforwarfighters.com and register to get involved. But this has been episode number 350, an NLL Season Eve edition of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. We're getting ready for season 1, 2, 3, 4, our 6th season of actual seasons happening, covering the NLL. Crazy shit. And I just realized, we missed the overall announcement anniversary that we have as the birthday of OTB, which is November 6th, probably for a multitude of reasons this year in particular. But yeah, it's crazy that we've been rocking and going this long, and December 1st is the anniversary of episode 1, which is fucking crazy. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching.
You know what else is? Oh wait, no, never mind. Scratch that. Don't listen to me.
We'll catch you guys next week breaking down a slate of games for the NLL season. It is here, ladies and gentlemen. But for Deej, I'm your boy KB. Catch you guys next week. Enjoy your Thanksgivings if you're in America. And let's get ready for an NLL season, baby. Peace.
Peace.